How do I do it all? The Brezza gives me the power.
What to make of 264? It's the kind of conversation, kind of innings and kind of score that makes for a good semi-final and a good halftime show on Maruti Suzuki Arena. Presents ESPN Cricket for Match Day. We'll hear from Ashton, Agar, who said 250. Anil Kumble thought India would get the job done quicker. 264. Who is in front after the Australian innings? Anil.
Yeah, I think we made those predictions based on what we saw of India-New Zealand pitch, and we expected that kind of a pitch surface today, but I thought this one was very similar to the one that India played Pakistan.
Yeah, it's the same surface, I believe.
Oh, okay, so we were not aware of that, but I think on a surface like this, 264 is just about par, I feel, and with the kind of bowling attack that Australia have, because I thought coming into this game, coming into this tournament, the batting was the strength. The bowlers will have to really do well to defend that.
All right, pass score says Sanjay.
Yeah, pass score is the important thing because this pitch is looking better than the last one. So I'm thinking this is pass score. And I don't think they're under par or over par. And if the dew doesn't come in, it might get a little more difficult for India to bat on. So I look at this as a target that's going to make for a very exciting run chase.
Let's see if Ashton Agar sees the game any differently. Ashton?
No, I completely agree, if I'm being honest. I think it is pass score. The wicket is not bad. There's certainly a little bit of spin and a bit of hold, but India having, two frontline left-arm orthodox to squeeze in the middle made a big difference there. Obviously, Chakravarti is a wicket taker. Our spinners are going to have to bowl really well. They've got a big job to do, and our quicks are going to have to be really smart with the way they change the pace. So it could be a tight game, but we're going to have to bowl extremely well and squeeze as hard as we can and get some dot balls through the middle there.
Yeah, it's hard to either be too critical or to be too praiseworthy of either team. It's that kind of gripping ODI cricket. But Steve Smith has shown his class, 73.
Yes, and they need somebody like him. This is going to be a tournament where you need a Kane Williamson to bat through and somebody like a Steven Smith. But the innings of Alex Carey made the difference.
Right.
It's just important for somebody to just carry on because a couple of very important wickets. I mean, Travis Head on 39 was almost like allowing India to come back in the game. So I sometimes wonder whether that is the right approach. When you're set, you can maybe take a little easier. Josh Inglis, Jadeja getting those 2 wickets, I thought was crucial. So that meant that Steve Smith had to just bat on. But the Alex Carey innings was, what really has put Australia in the position there.
Is that the most significant innings of the innings?
I thought Travis Head at the start and then Alex Carey at the end. And Steve Smith, of course, held that innings together. Even that wicket of Steve Smith came at a crucial juncture for India. Mohammad Shami getting him out. Otherwise, I thought Australia would have possibly got to 280, 285 because Maxwell coming in those last 6 or 7 overs is more dangerous than him coming in with 14 or 15 overs to go. So in that sense, I thought India got wickets at crucial intervals, but Travis Head at the start, and then Carey, of course, that inning certainly getting Australia a good score.
Also the thing about batting first, you'll see a few dismissals there. When you're batting first, you feel like you want to just keep getting on with the game, get as many as possible, and few wickets lost that could have been because they were batting first. Now India know the target is there in front of them. The pitch doesn't change drastically. They know the target is not a huge one. And then India won't be making, at least few batters will not be making the kind of mistakes that we saw with Australia trying to set a target.
Ashton, is it fair to say that at 198 for 4, that's when the Steve Smith wicket fell, Australia put themselves in a position where they could have got more?
I think so, yeah. I think we actually are quite light from the position that we got ourselves into. Carey and Smith were doing it so nicely, and obviously Smudge looked like he was trying to get a move on there, advancing down the pitch. I was surprised he missed it. I mean, it was a full toss and it was there to be hit for sure. Carey's innings, though, being able to strike it over 100 on that pitch when everyone else was struggling a little bit was important, and it took a bit of pressure off Steve Smith as well. It allowed him to bat a little bit longer, which was so important. If Smith doesn't play that glue innings, Australia has a much lower score. But it would have been nice to see, maybe some more runs from Maxwell hitting that 6, and then probably just misreading the speed and the pace of the wicket a little bit there. so slightly light, but it's still very competitive.
Yeah, Sanjay made the point of Alex Carey in that test match at Delhi. That was symptomatic of how Australia went down early in that series. It's a different format, but he's a different player as well, isn't he, Ashton?
He's a man in form, isn't he? He looks really confident out there. He looks like he's really happy with the method that he's applying. He's playing some really brave cricket recently, and he seems to be every game that he's going into looking to hit boundaries first and then go down the gears from there. I think that's a really good mindset. It's not all about hitting sixes for him, but hitting really good, hard cricket shots is a great way to get into your innings. It's a great way to work out the speed of the wicket without taking too many risks. He played a lot of sweep shots out there, but that's something he always does in Australian domestic cricket as well. So that's something that didn't surprise me, and it makes the bowlers have to adjust their lengths and probably bring the balls into zones where he wants to hit it. So he's playing very well.
Yeah. Couple of shots, one against Kuldeep Yadav. I mean, not too many people have played that kind of a shot. A proper leg spinner on off stump, hitting, over wide mid-off. Yes. And then there was that move made by Rohit Sharma where they got the point fielder in because he was trying to play the cut shot towards extra cover. Pulled out the reverse sweep. So he knows what he's doing, and that's the thing to like about a batter in 50 overs cricket who's not looking to play the big shots, but playing the chip shots, more than trying to hit the big six. It's about just lofting it over the infield and getting 4 runs for it. Ben Duckett was another English batter who played in that fashion. So I guess it's a game for those kind of batters who are not hitting the ball on the roof, but finding the gaps and keeping that run rate at 100.
Yeah. Let's talk about the bowlers. We'll talk about the spinners, but Ashton says he missed a full toss. Steve Smith of Shami. Bowled well otherwise, Mohammad Shami?
He did. He did really bowl well. Initially, I thought, after that dropped catch, it was not easy because as a fast bowler, any cotton bowl isn't easy. After that, I thought he bowled really well in terms of where he was initially slightly wavered to Travis Head. After the dropped catch, he gave a bit of room to him, but since then, he came back on. And I thought, with a new ball, I think India is something, even when they come to bat, they'll have to be a bit more watchful because the seam is harder. Yeah. When the seam hits the pitch, like Shami consistently does that, there was a little bit of seam movement.
Yeah, beat the outside edge so much.
And because of the roughness in the pitch, it's not a very smooth, glossy pitch.
Yes, that's one of the reasons why Shami was able to extract a bit more than any other. Hardik Pandya was the other fast bowler, but Shami, since he hits consistently the seam on the pitch like this, he was certainly able to get that a little bit of seam movement, and he bowled really well. Bowled within himself, bowled wicket to wicket, and then I thought he bowled good to get those 3 wickets in this innings.
And 50 overs, Australia almost batted the entirety of 50 overs, and India managed with 2 pace bowlers. So that will be another sort of load off their back that against a good side like Australia, they had 4 spinners, but Hardik Pandya and Shami didn't quite feel the pressure of just being the 2 pace bowlers in the side. So a completed 50 overs innings. So this is a template they can stick with. If they don't have a Bumrah, then they could go something like this on pitches where there is turn.
Let's talk spinners and maybe individually because we expected a lot from Varun. We thought, he's taken Travis Head. That's a big moment in the game. Did he bowl as well as you'd have liked him to?
Yeah, I think this pitch was slightly different to what he bowled on against New Zealand. There was a lot more for him against New Zealand. Maybe, that eagerness to get those wickets. He bowled slightly fuller, maybe a bit shorter in length, but there was not much for him. I thought, I think overall the spinners did bowl well. Australian credit to the Australian batters as well. They put some pressure back on Varun Chakravarti.
Did you like him coming round the wicket? And because there was one shot, which for a left-hander, I think Carey may have played it where he hit him on the leg side. So I've never seen actually Varun bowl round the wicket, and there was a slight early angle which a batter will always find advantages because he's so straight, and that's where the pressure is with Varun Chakravarti. I don't know, did you like that?
Yeah, I think, for just as a variation, you can try that, but generally you go around the stumps when there's a bit more turn or there's something more happening on the surface, especially for a left-hander, because you're not picking that one which goes away from the left-hander. So that's when you sort of go around the stumps and then bowl slightly fuller, so that in case somebody goes across, then you have a chance of getting him out. But yeah, you can't really criticize for that, but I thought Australia batted well against him.
It's very interesting that Travis Head took him on, and he came on in the 9th over. Ashton, analysts tell us that's the first time Travis Head's actually played Varun Chakravarti.
I think it was his first ball, wasn't it, that he's faced him? The commentators made a note of that. And like we said in the pre-game show, you know, facing a few more balls, it certainly gets easier out there. And if you get to assess the wicket and realise that it's not spinning too much, maybe you can get in and keep going. Trav obviously had a slow start, caught up really well and was trying to make the most of the power play, but, you know, got out doing exactly that. So that was a good move from India, actually, bringing a bowler onto Travis Head, who's a man in form, someone who he hasn't seen much of, and it worked really well. Clever captaincy.
When Travis Head returns to the dressing room after playing an aggressive shot, does anyone say no, the shot wasn't on?
I don't think so. I think with those guys, you know what you're going to get. They might get a bat wrapped around their head if they do. So you got to be careful around those batters when they get out.
Right. What about the use of the left-arm orthodox spinners from Rohit Sharma and how they bowled?
Yeah, I thought they bowled well, but you know, possibly Rohit could have continued with Varun Chakravarti after that first spell, because he bowled 3 overs, had picked up a wicket of Travis Head. Steve Smith and Labuschagne had just come in, maybe one more over of Varun at that point in time. Possibly could have got him a wicket, who knows. But 2 left-arm spinners, I thought they bowled well. You know, Akshar Patel and Jadeja. Jadeja getting Labuschagne out.
Important wickets.
Yeah, very important wickets.
Sometimes delay bringing Jadeja on, almost feel like you should bring him on before Akshar Patel.
I think it's something maybe Jadeja prefers, because he's obviously the number 1 of the 2 left-arm spinners. Little surprised Kuldeep Yadav actually bowled in the first 10 and before Varun Chakravarti. And when Varun Chakravarti came in, got the wicket to Travis Head. So I wonder what the thinking was there when Rohit Sharma got him, because he rarely bowls Kuldeep, isn't it, in the first 10?
You can go deeper into that. What is the most important thing for a captain to keep in mind when he's got 4 spinners? Sometimes that can be equally challenging or confusing on how to use them.
Yeah, it is. I think, you know, like Rohit probably today, I thought, Varun could have perhaps bowled slightly ahead of Kuldeep, because he has not, Travis Head has never played Varun Chakravarti. That could be a match-up. And maybe he thought, you know, Kuldeep Yadav will get a little more turn on the surface, because in that first 10 overs, when you have restrictions of field, you need a bit more either pace or skill with the ball for you to get the better of a batter. And maybe Rohit felt that Kuldeep on this surface, because you're still not bowled a spinner yet, you don't know how much turn they would be. So Kuldeep would possibly, out of the 4, Kuldeep is the one who will get a bit more purchase on any surface.
How do you look at that partnership of 56 from 85 between Smith and Labuschagne and Ashton? Did it almost play into exactly what Australia would have wanted in that situation? And your comment on how Rohit Sharma used his spinners?
I mean, I was a bit worried at the start. I must admit, when Manus came in, he was eating up a lot of balls, and I was worried that was going to put a lot of pressure on Steve Smith and would force him to play a rash shot. But those two have a really good relationship, understand how each other play, and Manus just took his time getting into his innings. Then he got a couple of boundaries away, and the runs started flowing a bit for him. So in the context of the game, that could be a huge partnership. But I really thought that the left-arm spinners squeezed Manus incredibly well. That is a very good matchup to Manus. I know Jadeja has got him out a few times in his career, so he knows exactly how to bowl to him and force him to sort of play some risky shots. He got a couple of boundaries from it, but really, I think Jadeja on those wickets, when there's just enough assistance, you're not sure if it's going to spin or it's going to take your inside edge. He also has the great ability to bowl very close to the stumps, so the line of the ball never deviates from outside the stumps. He goes close, then goes wide, and one might skid through and he gets the LBW. So he's a master at using the angles on the crease and getting whatever he can out of a surface like that, because he bowls a speed that actually helps you get some bite out of those surfaces at a quicker pace, and that makes the batsman make a rush decision.
I love that. Was listening to that very keenly as a left-arm spinner yourself, Ashton. So take your time on the Maxwell wicket, would you?
Maxi, well, I mean, what can you say? How do you want me to analyse that? I reckon there'll be a billion people that will have analysed that very critically. And I don't think there's any more I need to say on that one.
He said so much and said it so nicely, like a professor breaking it out. Maxwell, You've worked with the man, haven't you, Mr. Kumble?
Yeah, you keep tearing your hair out as if you're sitting in the same dugout as Maxwell. One day he just changes the game in 3-4 overs, and some days that's what you're going to get. So it's, left arm spin and Maxi, someone who, like exactly what Ashton Agar was mentioning, someone where you don't know which one's going to turn, which one's going to come back with the arm. Akshar Patel and Jadeja are classic sort of options for you against a Maxwell. He hit a 6 of the previous ball, and the next one he looked surprised at the pace at which it came down. But I guess that's Maxi for you.
Yeah, that length actually, which Anil Kumble was talking about, the shorter length got the better of Josh Inglis, because the ball pitched short of length and he tried to punch it straight to covers, and this one as well, where he was trying to play a pull shot. He's a temperamental person, so the batting is a reflection of that. So these are people that you just have to understand. They're different mentally, skills-wise obviously, but there's something different about the way he thinks. Leave those guys alone.
Could I ask you the same question I asked about Travis Head? Does anyone say anything to Maxi when he gets out like that?
No, you stay even further away from Maxi, I think, when he gets out. Travis, you might get away with it. Maxi, you will not get away with it. So that's a certain. Oh, I might say one thing, actually, if I can, on the shorter length. And when the ball is holding up like that, it's funny when you see batters there. The batters who play that ball really well, they hold their front side in for a lot longer. And actually, Josh Inglis and Maxwell usually are very good at that, holding their body height and their front shoulder closed for longer. So they coil their power up, and it's about pulling through the ball rather than pushing. I guess they got a bit caught with the slowness of the wicket opening the front side up, and the hands go out in front of the body, and you have nowhere to go because you have to push rather than pull through the ball with no power. So it was interesting. It's something maybe for the Aussies to take out of that.
All right, let's look ahead to the chase. India-Pakistan surface. India looked relatively comfortable chasing 250, though it did take its time in the middle of that innings. Do you see it going similarly?
Yeah, similarly. I think, again, Shubman Gill, Rohit Sharma's start will hold the key because, both of them, especially Shubman Gill, has been in great form. So you would expect that on a surface like this, with the bowling attack that Australia have, you should be able to get off to a good start. And then, of course, Virat Kohli will hold the key as well. It's a run chase. Again, he's had 100 on the surface, same pitch. Yeah. So he should, the top three will have to get a good start. You don't want a situation on a pitch like this, chasing 265 in a semi-final. Yeah. You don't want 3 early wickets.
Captaincy will be very crucial because Steve Smith has to quickly assess the pitch. Does he bowl his trusted seam bowlers, as in trusted in the sense when you compare with the 2 spinning options that he has, new ones in the team, Sangha and Connolly. So quick reading of the pitch and bowl your bowlers accordingly against Virat Kohli. It's a no-brainer to have your left-arm spinner, your spinners in. But against certain other batters like Shreyas Iyer, you've got to be careful not to reveal your rookie, sort of younger, inexperienced bowler against him because he is in tremendous form. Shubman Gill as well. So pick your batters and pick your matchups very carefully in this game.
Do you see India's batters trying to almost lay down the law to these younger Australian bowlers, take them on?
Yes, I see that happening, and in that maybe there's a chance to get a batter out, but it's a dangerous strategy when the score is not huge. This is again a game where Rohit Sharma can afford to go a little longer just because of the nature of the pitch and because the target is not huge and because he's got such great hands when it comes to playing spin.
When we talk about spin and Australia, we talk about Adam Zampa. Let's just break down his numbers and ask Ashton Agar to weigh in on the use of multiple spin options that Stephen Smith has for the first time in this Champions Trophy. Relatively, play him better than a lot of other teams to India. Adam Zampa, Kohli averages 53 nearly against him in ODIs. Hardik Pandya's got a decent strike rate for the number that he bats at. KL Rahul, there and thereabouts. But there are lots of dismissals too. So Adam Zampa does get wickets. Anything that stands out in those numbers before I throw it to Ashton?
No, nothing much.
No?
I think what
Shubman Gill twice in 4 innings. Sorry.
Yeah, twice in 4 innings.
Go ahead.
No, probably, what will perhaps work in Adam Zampa's favour is the length that he bowls on a surface like this. When you bowl that slightly back of a length, it stops a little bit. So the batters Yes, they have some really good numbers here. They'll have to be a little more watchful on this kind of a surface where it's holding up a little bit.
Yeah.
Not as bad as the New Zealand pitch, but the length that Zampa bowls, that area, we saw with Jadeja and even Maxwell's wicket. Those two wickets certainly, I think that's the area where he bowls.
Sanjay talks about captaincy, Ashton, the use of more spin options for Steve Smith. How does that affect perhaps his use of Adam Zampa?
I think being really brave with Cooper Connolly early on in the piece, while the ball's a little bit harder, might give him a little bit more natural variation. It gets a few of those overs out of the way without having to use your trump, which is Adam Zampa, too early, wasting some of his overs. And we're going to need him through the back end of the innings as well to create some pressure and pick up those wickets. So using Cooper, it is, he hasn't bowled a lot in one-day cricket, but being brave with how we use him, I think, is going to be an absolute key. I mean, Maxi, we may see him bowl one in the power play. That's going to be an interesting matchup, trying to restrict the Indian batters to one side of the ground and potentially bringing about a wicket with a slog sweep, because we know that the Indian batters are very, very good at hitting spin 4-6. So, and of the numbers you saw of Zampa there are some runs, but there's certainly a lot of wickets against India as well. So he's a good matchup to Virat. That's always something that we speak about. Yes, he's scored some runs against him, but he's got him out those 5 times. And, in a big chase, Virat's the key player. Hardik Pandya is someone who always tries to attack Zamp. So that's the matchup I'm really looking forward to, how Zamp bowls to Hardik Pandya, what the fields look like, whether Pandya tries to sweep him because he's added that into his game and it's really changed the fields you have to set to Pandya as well. So some key matchups in there, but using Cooper to leave Zamps for a bit later in the game is going to be important.
It could also be a scenario like Afghanistan where we were focusing on, their 3 spinners against England, wasn't it? And then you had Omar Zai getting 5 wickets. So who knows, seamers might be.
Nathan Ellis, yeah.
Yeah, Nathan Ellis is the most likely seam bowler to make an impact. I think it should evolve organically, as they say, for Steve Smith, because he'll come up with answers. Start off normally, and depending on how the pitch is behaving, if it's getting a little more slow, which is the batter's strike, and all those answers will come without having a preconceived long-term plan.
Speaking of the pitch, I'm told I should stand corrected, and we believe it's a fresh pitch today. There was some confusion on whether it's the same pitch as India-Pakistan. So I hope the viewers will forgive me for that, because I know you won't. So now let's get to predictions. Ashton's revealed his hand a little because he says, I'm looking forward to Adam Zampa bowling to Hardik Pandya. So Anil Kumble saying 265 for 4 or 3 may completely pour water on that matchup. Anil.
Yeah, I think India should chase this down. We have seen that the surface is slightly better than what we have seen so far in Dubai. So in that fashion, India chase down. This is going to be the highest score that India will have to chase down in Dubai in this tournament. But I see them getting there.
You see them getting there comfortably?
Yeah, I think, they should. They should certainly get there. With Hardik Pandya, I know he's a finisher, but maybe with probably 4 or 5 down.
All right, Sanjay Manjrekar.
Very difficult to predict this. I don't know why. The captaincy is going to be the game changer. How Stephen Smith handles, this wide array of bowlers that he has. So I don't want to venture a prediction.
Ashton, be braver than that?
Yeah, well, I think Australia will win. And I just think because there's been there's Australia and India, great history, some really tight battles. It brought the best out of Australia's batters then. They knew they had a bit of work to do. They weren't sure how the conditions were going to play. I think it'll be a tight one, but I'd like to see Australia bowl India out. I think I said for 240 something earlier, which would be amazing.
Well, amazing, depending on which part of the world you're in. But thank you very much to Ashton Agar and to Anil Kumble, as well as Sanjay Manjrekar. Daniel Vittori is having conversations with the Australian spinners as they take the field for a place in the final. India need 265, or will it be Australia once again to gate crash their party in Dubai? Join us for post-match analysis on Maruti Suzuki Arena Presents ESPN Cricket for Match Day.
How do I do it all? The Brezza gives me the power.